can I help you?
Hi there. I think my dog is sick.
Yeah, I can see that. I'll let the doctor know. He'll see you shortly. You could go sit down and wait in the meantime.
A few moments later.
The doctor will see you now. Well, oh yeah, come. Hi there, I'm Dr. J. What seems to be the problem today? Yeah, so, my dog Rufus. Well, Rufus is sick. He's been losing weight recently, and, Rufus's girlfriend, Rufalina, she died last week. Same symptoms and everything. I actually brought Rufalina with me, just in case you wanted to run some tests. Now, you said Rufus is a dog? Okay, yeah, why don't you give me Rufalina's body and leave Rufus with me for a bit, and we'll run some tests and we'll see what's up. Sure thing, pal. Here you go. So, we've got some bad news. Rufus has chronic wasting disease. We actually found this out. We couldn't find anything out by doing tests on Rufus. And when we tested Rufalina, we ended up finding out that she has chronic wasting disease. We tested the spinal and brain matter of Rufalina, and yeah, if she said the symptoms match, we can only assume that Rufus has chronic wasting disease. Now, chronic wasting disease is a prion disease that mainly affects deer, elk, moose, and reindeer. It's similar to mad cow disease in cows and Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease in humans. But Doc, I'm not exactly sure Rufus is a deer. I think he looks like a dog to me. And what exactly is a prion? I'm not too familiar with the vernacular. Yeah, about that. Rufus is not a dog. I mean, as to what he is, we aren't entirely sure, but we know he's like somewhat related to deer. So, to answer your other question, prions are misfolded proteins that cause normal proteins to misfold in the same way that they are. So this leads to a buildup of abnormal proteins in the brain, causing damage and eventually leading to the death of the animal. So, how exactly did Rufus get infected with this? What'd you call it? Chronic wasting disease? Is that like when he gets too wasted on a Saturday? Cause, listen and believe me, Rufus goes crazy. When the Dallas Cowboys are winning, so is Rufus. Yeah, so chronic wasting disease can actually be transmitted a couple of ways, but it's normally directly through animal-to-animal contact or indirectly through contaminated environments, such as they can be shed through saliva, feces, urine, and through decomposing carcasses like Rufalina over here. Now, once in the environment, the prions can live there for years and years, making it really, really easy for other animals of the same type to get infected. And as you said, Rufalina and Rufus, married, 85 years strong. So, yeah, really shouldn't be obvious that Rufus is not a dog, but it's just whatever. What symptoms, what symptoms should I look for? I mean, I know I saw Rufus, losing weight and stumbling around, but I thought that was just all the beers Rufus was drinking. I wasn't sure. So, like you said, infected animals usually show signs of drastic weight loss, behavioral changes, lack of coordination, excessive salivation, and other, neurological symptoms, because, the prions affect the brain. And these symptoms usually come, 18 to 24 months after an infection. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a detailed look into it. So a normal prion protein In healthy animals, the prion proteins are actually glycosylated and predominantly expressed on the cell surface on the neurons, and these are normally like alpha helixes. But in a pathogenic prion, like as we're talking about in chronic wasting disease, the normal prion protein misfolds into a pathological form, right? So this is characterized with high beta-pleated sheet content. So instead of alpha helixes, it goes to beta-pleated sheets. This form is resistant to the pre-teolytic degradation. Now, it's transmitted and replicated through environmental contamination, direct contact, all that. So once it enters the host, it induces conformational changes in the prion protein, converting it into more of the pathogenic prion protein. So the alpha helixes go to beta-pleated sheets. This is a key step in how the disease gets propagated. So that brings us to neuroinvasion, which is initial replication sites. So the chronic wasting disease prions initially replicate in like the lymphoid tissues, such as lymph nodes or the spleen, and then they spread through the peripheral nervous system and then to the central nervous system. So once they get to the central nervous system, they have access to the neural pathways, and when they travel along neural pathways, including the vagus nerve and sympathetic nervous system, eventually they reach the brain. So I'm going to go a little bit into the neuropathology of how they actually, where they affect the brain and how they affect the brain. So the regions of the brain that they affect are the brain's cortical and subcortical regions, such as the basal ganglia, the thalamus, and cerebellum, which explains the salivation, changes in normal function, motor function, and all that. So some histopathological changes, such as spongiform encephalopathy, which is an accumulation of the PRPSC, which is the proteins, leads to a sponge-like appearance of the brain due to neuronal cell death and vacuolation, which has to do with the vacuoles. Astrogliosis, there's an increase in the number of astrocytes, which is a type of glial cell, in response to neural damage. And then neuronal loss, which causes significant neuronal loss in affected regions. So some clinical manifestations include behavioral changes, like you saw in Rufus. Neurons are changed and destroyed, such as brain function is impaired. The animals exhibit a change in behavior, including, like you said, lack of coordination and a normal gait. Physiological symptoms, such as progressive weight loss, hence the wasting disease, chronic wasting. So that means the weight is being wasted. Difficulty of movement, and eventually death occurs. So how does the immune system actually get into this, how is the immune response, right? It's not just sitting still, not doing anything. So there's a lack of inflammatory response in almost all prion diseases, because compared to most other neurodegenerative diseases, because the immune system doesn't immediately, and it's not effectively recognizing and responding to prions, because it's proteins in the brain that are being misfolded. So it's not like a pathogen coming in, it's a protein, right? Right, so here's some environmental concerns. They're really, really stable everywhere environmentally: soil, water, vegetation, long-term risk transmission-wise. And there is no current evidence that people can get it, right? But the risk can't be ruled out. We saw how it was with HIV, avian flu, all that. They can jump, but as of now, there is no cases. And it's a very complex disease, and it's just slowly, progressively damaging the nervous system. And that's similar with most prion diseases, but this one simply affects mostly deer, but apparently Rufus too.
Now, Doc, how can I prevent this? How can I make it so that his 78 babies and 634 grandbabies don't get it? Please tell me, Doc.
Now, Doc, is there any hope for a vaccine? Not like that fake Rona vaccine, but a normal, healthy vaccine. Or any kind of cure. Now, as for a vaccine or any sort of cure in the future, there is research ongoing, but Currently, there are no vaccines available. Now, while that's not available, scientists are working hard to find potential therapeutic approaches to maybe, long and hood the livelihood of these animals.
Tell it to me straight, Doc. Is there a cure? Is there any treatment? Is my dear baby boy Rufus gonna be okay? Tell me, Doc.
So, unfortunately, there is no cure for Rufus. He's gonna die.
He's gonna die.
Anyways, chronic wasting disease at this moment in time does not have a treatment. Once an animal is infected, or whatever Rufus is, it will eventually succumb to the disease.
No, Rufus, no! He has 78 children. Who's gonna take care of them? Now, Doc, how can I prevent this? How can I make it so that his 78 babies and 634 grandbabies don't get it? Please tell me, Doc.
Preventing the spread of chronic wasting disease, there's a lot of strategies that we employ. We suggest that one is reducing deer population, the density of them, banning the movement of live cervids, which are all creatures under the family, such as deer, and restricting the use of natural deer urine or other deer products, like live animal products, in hunting and other recreational sports.
Thank you, Doc. This has really been heart-wrenching and informative at the same time. I think I'm gonna spread the word to all my folks, and I think I'm just gonna hunker down and spend the rest of the night with Rufus' children and his grandchildren. Thank you.
You're so welcome. It's good to be informed. You had great questions, but could you leave? I don't know if I want Rufus here. The exit. It's right here.
Yeah, wait a minute, get it how you live it. 10 toes in when we standing on business. I'm a big stepper, underground methods, top notch hoes, get